Alright, welcome back to the shop. I'm just sort of going to shoot from the hip today on this. One of the viewers, Rusty Guy, formerly known as Rusty Gun, had asked me about this microscope. And the microscope that I have, I will put a link to Amazon where I bought this. I haven't got a lot of experience with it yet, but I just want to sort of, undoubtedly I've got a lot to learn about this. However, I'll just sort of give you an overview and show you what to expect when you invest $20 in a microscope. My initial thoughts are that I'm pretty happy with it. The amount of utility that I have for it, in my shop I don't really look at, I never had one, so I never really thought about it. But we'll goof around today and we'll look at a couple things. I think probably a couple people, everybody that watches this probably has a pocket knife, so we'll try to look at knife edges. And undoubtedly we've got some other things that might be interesting, and you can see that this camera is not gonna, the resolution that you're gonna get is that any better than the camera that I'm gonna look at? We'll find out here. I'm not really sure how much better it is. Let's see how close I can get you. Of course, you got to contend with my shakiness. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. The question that Russ had for me was, how difficult is it to set this up? I would have to say that it wasn't very difficult at all. The machine comes with this USB. It looks like a typical USB, and it flops down and turns into the other USB. I know there's a bunch of different sizes, and I don't know the name of it. And then there's a USB-C adapter that goes on there. So it's almost virtually any kind of laptop or tablet that you have, this could be adapted to, with the exception of, I don't know if this is a USB-C, the larger T-shaped one, like that. There doesn't seem to be a way to reconcile that I know of. Anyway, that's pretty antiquated stuff. So all I do is plug it in. I know this is really childish at this point, but just to demonstrate. So I plug it in and it automatically loads. It says, would you like to connect this device? I connect it, and here I am. It's functioning. And anyway, I'll have to tune it in. But I'll get a couple different shots. I'll get shots with the camera, and then I think this has some screen capture. You can see that there's a camera button there and a video function there. I will attempt to record, take pictures and video records what I'm looking at. We'll sort of learn as we go. Alright, so I've got it tuned in. It has this 4 times, 40 times, and then 1,000 times. That, as of right now, doesn't seem to do anything other than focus. It doesn't zoom it in or out anymore. As far as I can tell, it focuses everything. And then here's the resolution from my camera to this camera. And I'm not sure how that's going to come across. But what we're looking at now is as we were building, as Clay was fabricating the fan shroud for the forklift, we used this blade in the Sawzall, and of course the aluminum bound up and chipped the teeth on that. So let's look at the other end of it and see what the teeth are supposed to look like. Alright, so I've scooted it down just a touch, and we can see what it looks like there. I'm going to go ahead and hit the picture button. Audio permissions, okay, it's asking for me. Okay, so these are a couple pictures, and then let's try some video. And now I'm recording. I'm recording me recording, and I will put these side by side if I can, and you can see which one's better. And it'll be interesting to know, if you don't mind, leave a comment and tell me whether you mind if I can hold the camera and then edit from here, because it would save me the step of having to download from this machine to the computer. It's just less file management, and sometimes when I'm trying to get videos out, even shaving off 2 or 3 steps can amount to quite a significant savings in editing time for me. So alright, let me I think this is pretty interesting, but let me look at some other knives and we'll find some other stuff to look at. Alright, so this is pretty interesting to me. I have just a piece of cut off cylinder here, and you can see the surface finish on that. When I zoom in with this camera, you know, you get some idea what the surface finish looks like, but that's quite nice. Let's look at the pocket knife on here. Again, this is very hard to do. I'm going to rest that on there and pan over, and here we can see the finish on that knife. It's a little backwards in terms of how I move it. Anyway, seems to be pretty interesting. Let's find something else to look at. So this is sort of interesting. The way the camera is, this is just a sanding disc wheel, one of the Rolock disc wheels that I had to sort of pry apart. You can see that the top is in focus, but then the bottom is out of focus, and there's a difference. There's a rake in the height. So when I zoom this camera in, I can zoom in and get it to take this into focus, but then if it's not right at the right distance, it's going to be out of focus. So I think if you were trying to look at a three-dimensional object, you know, in its entirety, this would not be the right device for that. This has a toggle switch on the remote here that will give us the ability to dim the lights. And that might not show up because this camera will auto-correct for dimmer lights. And, alright, let's find something else. Alright, so I've got this perfect handle, miniaturized perfect handle screwdriver. And the way I have it set up now, of course, you're looking from up here, and I'm looking at the screen, so I guess what I'm trying to emulate here is if you were trying to use this, if you couldn't see what you were working on, imagine you had a watch or some sort of really fine instrumentation, could I come over here and use this to, like a scope to work on? So let me try recording. This probably is not going to make a great video, but I'm gonna try cleaning this surface up. Which one's worse? Well, we can see that we've got a little bit of rust here now. Hopefully you can see that. And we'll try sanding. I'd like to see 357 do this with some flits, and we could really see what the flits is doing. That's a challenge, 357. Let's see if we can get some. If you get a microscope, I'm not saying you got to get one, but if you do, I'd like to see some flits mania. Okay, so I think the lighting sort of washes it out a little bit when I'm working with it. But I could see there being an application for this with extremely small parts. And I think if you were working on finishes, and you wanted to get the absolute best finish you could, this would be a great tool for that. Let's see this hammer, which I think has got a pretty good finish on it. Now from here you should be able to see me trying to dial it in, which is, oh, I got lucky there. But you can see that finish, even though it looks pretty nice, is not quite there. Alright, so in terms of comparing the two, we've got the screen here. We can see how deep the striations are. But when I look with the camera, pretty interesting. Again, I apologize, I'm not really great at giving reviews. This is just me tinkering around, so hopefully this was instructional. I think at first blush, I'm relatively happy with this for the price point. Is it going to revolutionize my shop and how I do things? Not at this point, I don't think, but I would say that just from the little bit that I've learned today, I could definitely work on my polishing skills. I mean, I don't need a microscope to know that. But, you know, it's a neat tool. And if you have a tablet, I've used this on my phone, and it worked quite well on the phone. So I think that's, so I'm not saying go out and buy one. For me, I'm happy to have it. We'll see if it makes it in the channel. And if there's any feedback or any other insights that you might have, something you think of how it might complement the channel when and if I ever get back to doing tool restorations, it'd be helpful to have your comments, as they're always appreciated. So I hope you're having a good night. I hope you have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.